So these ones are for Marcia. Can my child start school if they are not consistently toilet trained?
So I'd like to start by discussing, as Holly said before, that toileting is learning, and of course we're in the business of learning that for any whānau, whoever's raising children, to not fear any judgment or worry around toileting in regards to school, that schools are set up to support students, but there are some things that it does require, and that is really open and honest communication from whānau quite early on. If there are significant challenges for your child around toileting, the sooner that the school knows that, the sooner that we can put supports in place, such as public health nurse who may or may not already be have knowledge of the child, and other things that we can do. So I always encourage whānau to enrol your child on that 4th birthday. It's really good practice to let your school know that your child is coming. It goes through for a lot of decisions around funding and ratios, and it's for the benefit of your child for us to know that they are coming so we can make decisions. So all schools work very differently. Some schools have a cohort entry where children start in beginning and mid-term as a group. Other schools still have children starting at the age of 5. But knowing that your child is coming allows us to make those decisions around ratios, because some new entrant classes can start up. Alternatively, some schools, such as the one where I currently work, children are moved down to join other students based on the number of students. So when you're filling an enrolment form for a school, if your child has toileting challenges, I really welcome whānau to write those down, because my role as a special education needs coordinator in a school means that I can look at that. It means 6 months out from your child starting school, I can give you a phone call and I can just touch base, and it's with no judgment, and it's to touch base and say how are things going now, and we can move forward from there. And that's putting your child at the centre of the decisions. If school does not know that your child is facing significant toileting challenges, we can come back to funding later, but the thing is, it's around us being a village around your child. So if we know in advance, we discuss 6 months out, we can prepare and get things ready. We can invite you onto the school site to come and visit the toilets as part of a daily routine. We can send home a social stories with photos of our toilets and them for you to share at home. We can, the school I currently work at visits preschools before your child starts. We, in many schools, will call as well to speak to preschool teachers. If we know that toileting is something that your child needs support with, the same as if your child needs support with anything else, we can get in early and be very proactive. The school support, I'd just like to reassure everyone that it's something that we do, and that we can go to those preschools, for example, and the visuals and the reminders that they're using, we can put them up in our toilets in school. So it comes back to early, open, honest communication, and please don't, for whānau not to have any concerns about that. It's really helpful for your child if we know these things in advance. And chances are, when I call you 6 months out, your child may have had some progress with toileting, and that's great too. So it's about not being fearful of letting us know, because if your child starts school and we find out on that first day, one of the biggest challenges that students face is going from an early childhood setting where you have someone rostered on for toileting for a day, but the centres run differently, of course, that your child is coming to an environment where typically there is one adult, and there can be 10, 15, 20, 24 other children in that space. So it is a big difference in terms of one adult's capability to manage a range of needs. So as Holly said, with an increase or children being toilet trained at a later date. So that open and honest communication.
And to know that your child's not going to be the only child
Mhm.
that has
That's
got
it.
toileting concerns.
Yeah.
And I 100% can't stress enough the importance of getting in there early, and it just helps to really support your child to have a successful transition to
Yes.
school.
So it means that we can have, schools take their guidance from the health professionals in many cases, so it allows us to open up those pathways, and that can just be an advisory questions or advice that we seek, or it can be more in depth in terms of a referral, but it's definitely a village around your child, recognising that in schools these days there are a range of needs that present. So open, honest communication. But absolutely your child can start school. It's just really helpful if we know in advance.
I mean, it seems daunting having to enrol child first day of school anyway. But yeah, as you said, it's just about talking to the teacher. And you guys have seen it all before,
Yes.
all along board. And yeah, you guys are very you cater for all of the needs.
Yeah.
So
So and each school will have a special education needs coordinator. Some schools have that as the deputy principal, but in other schools it is a different role. But that is the person who coordinates and puts referrals through, seeks advice, and assigns teacher aid times and looks at funding. So always your child's homeroom teacher would be your first port of call, but the SENCO will usually participate as well in meetings and catch up with you and help set up any systems.
sounds like there's a lot of support. It's good. How do I stop other children from teasing them at school?
So this is a really, it's a really good question. This is around teachers' strengths in their classroom environment and establishing a very nurturing classroom environment. So this goes alongside the idea that toileting is learning, the same as everybody else, and 5-year-olds are actually wonderful if we're looking at that area where most of our
absolutely.
accidents are happening, although it can help. Of course, some toileting concerns persist. But this is around if your child is coming home and saying that they're being teased, then it's really important to let your child's teacher know that that is happening in some
Absolutely.
cases in busy environments. For example, and this goes alongside with also letting your child's teacher know if they're coming home with wet underwear. Some children we've discovered, they do get to the point of managing themselves that we don't know that they've had an accident. There are quite a few smells in a classroom environment on some days. So just that communication. So certainly if your child is coming home and saying things, please talk to your child's teacher. Usually hopefully they'd already be aware, but teachers are very good at setting up their environment where we're a team and we're working together about moving children away to private areas, keeping it positive and things like that. There are picture books that we use to talk about toileting as well, and it's for everybody. But certainly if something is upsetting your child in regards to anything happening at school, please ensure that your child's teacher already knows that that's happening. And in many cases your child's teacher may already be talking to you about these things and how they're managing it as well.
Can my child attend school if they're not toilet trained?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But just start that conversation with
Yeah.
school early, because
Yeah.
they're there
Yeah.
to help.
Yes. And so I think it may not be anything at all of serious concern, not toileting, but it is something to take seriously in terms of your child's well-being in a new environment with one adult, and just being open to having that conversation and seeing what schools can do and help, and starting that conversation early.